Hi everyone, my name is Joe Kadlec, a Mergers and Acquisitions Partner in the Corporate and Securities Group at Troutman Pepper. I'm here today with Pat Below from Phoenix Management Services for a series of unscripted and impromptu interviews to discuss a few topics in the distressed M&A world. Pat, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Phoenix Management?
So I'm a director with Phoenix Management Services, and we advise, manage, and raise capital for transitioning businesses.
Great. So particularly for transitioning business and in the distressed world, what do you think we're going to see over the next 6 to 9 months as we wrap up 2022 and start 2023?
Yeah, so we have an interesting lens into the distressed M&A world. In a given year at Phoenix, we see 75 to 100 clients in the middle market. And for many of those companies, we're actually inside the company, helping run the company, filling an interim executive role. So we really have clear insight into some of the headwinds that they're facing. The headwinds that we see percolating over the next 12 months really are centered around 3 buckets: interest rate risk, supply chain risk, and risk attracting and retaining employees.
Do you see any easing up on those in the near term?
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball, but I actually see them getting worse over the next 12 months. So on the interest rate side, I mean, we all know that interest rates are rising, and the impact for companies, particularly the bottom performing companies in the middle market, is that it's just going to be more expensive for them to fund their working capital. It's also going to be harder for them to meet their loan covenants in terms of fixed charge coverage ratio or leverage requirements. And all of these things kind of intertwine in with each other. If you go to the supply chain, many companies experienced a situation in 2021 where their revenue was expanding and they couldn't get products to meet that demand. And so a lot of companies ordered a lot of inventory at the end of last year. And for many macroeconomic reasons, demand is starting to contract. So consumer spending is pulling back, and that same growth in demand isn't there, but the inventory is still coming. And like we talked about at the first bucket, that's sucking up working capital, and now that working capital we just talked about is more expensive to finance. And then as you move down into the labor force risks, it's becoming more expensive to attract and retain the same employees. So companies are having to pay more for the same services just to get people in the door to deliver their goods and services to the market. So all of that's creating pressure on earnings. And as we talked about, interest rates are going up. So it's more expensive to fund the working capital of your business. At the same time, you're getting less profitability.
We're seeing similar, and one thing I can definitely say is we're all feeling that some of those types of issues. So as you know, I do distressed M&A work, but I also work with companies with perhaps stronger balance sheets and whatnot. So I have an interesting view, I think, of the whole market. If you're in a distressed deal environment, those deals can go very quickly because they have to, right? For the reasons you described, the cash could be running low. We could have lenders that are not feeling much sympathy or patience, and so the process moves pretty quickly. For similar, different scenario obviously, but similarly for companies with really strong balance sheets, there are plenty of buyers and sponsors out there with a lot of cash. Despite the uncertainty in the markets, if they see a product and company they like, they're going to go after it, and those processes are still really fast and quick. If we have a month, that seems like plenty of time these days. Now, a lot of the companies in the middle, though, what I think we're seeing this year, especially compared to last year, and I think what's going to continue, everywhere in the middle is a lot more methodical. At the end of 2021, everything was in a big rush. We thought there were going to be tax changes at year end. Now, if things are off a little bit in the numbers, and we always say not hitting your numbers is the quickest way to lose a deal or stall a deal. But that missing numbers can really make everything more and more methodical, and we're seeing that. And that's, I think something that buyers and sellers should all be mindful of. So. It'll be certainly an interesting 9 months coming up, I'm sure.
It sure will. We're planning to get pretty busy over the next year.
Right. Strong, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Pat, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time. It's always good to talk about this stuff, and good to see you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me, and look forward to working together some more in the future.